Hello, and welcome to another Fast Tracks webinar. We do these every week on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can find our webinars at our website, goftx.com/webinars, or you can go to goftx.com, click on Lifeline, and then jump to Support Options, and then click on Webinars. From here, you can see which webinars we've already done, so you can review previous recordings, and you can also sign up for new webinars or see what's coming up next. If you would like to be notified whenever we have a new webinar coming up and what the topic will be, you can click on the subscribe button, and it will send you an email every week with the details on what we're going to be covering for the webinar. Okay. So today we are going to be going over the retail scan data reports and how they will affect your price book and how to avoid common rejections when you're using the new Cloud POS system and Control Center. So let's hop on over. So the first thing is, where do you find the scan data reports in the Control Center, and what settings will most always be turned on and what they mean. Also, which manufacturers participate. This is going to be the same manufacturers that participate whenever you're using the on-premise solution as well. The report is laid out pretty much the same, but with it being the Control Center side, it is going to look a little bit different with it being a website. So here's how you find it. You're going to, when you come in, here's your dashboard. You're going to go to Point of Sale, Reports, and then Scan Data. If you've already used the on-premise solution, the screen will look a little bit familiar for you. So we've got RJ Reynolds is one of the manufacturers. We've got Philip Morris, and then we have ITG. RJ Reynolds and ITG scan data reports are pretty much identical. They pull the same information. In fact, some of our clients get their ITG scan data information pulled directly from their RJ Reynolds file, so they don't actually have to submit two separate files. So you might want to check with your rep and see if that's available for you. But if not, we do have them separated in case that you want to have them separated. So first thing is the RJ Reynolds scan data report. Most of the time, you're going to have the single FTP set up and activated, because that means you're going to set it up as a chain and you're going to submit one file for your chain. You can turn that off and you can assign information per location. So that's actually a feature that we do not have in the on-premise solution. So this is going to be an upgrade for Control Center. This would make it so if you are unfortunately not able to be set up as a chain with your data submissions, and you have to set it up for each individual store to submit, you could do it all from here instead of, whereas before you would have to set it up at each individual store and we would have a schedule set up to run. Now you can do it all from the corporate side, which would be the user account for Control Center. So enable auto send is exactly what that says. It means that whenever you run the file, it will automatically send it to the FTP credentials that you have down here. These FTP credentials you will have to get from your rep with MSA because that is provided by them, and it is identical, or it's unique depending on who you are. So all of this other information you're going to have to get from your rep. The FTP site is usually like a website. Sometimes I've seen it as an IP address, and then the username and password are going to be auto-generated by them. The password is usually a random generated number that's letters, numbers, and special characters. And then the folder is usually like incoming or new or something like that. But again, your rep would tell you what credentials you need to use. Same thing for the outlet name. That's going to be however you are set up with them to receive scan data. So for us, you could be considered one name, but then for them, you could be using like your actual store name. The sequential file is the number that the file is, so that will automatically increment every time that you send the information. This just makes it so that yes, the date is in the file name, but also the file number is in there. So it just makes it so that you can see that there's not duplicate data. Okay, so the next setting is an option, and it's divide multi-pack discounts. What this will do is it will take your discounts and divide it by how many quantity you have on the sale within the file. Um, it just depends on, it seems to depend on who your person that is checking the file on the other end is, on whether or not that setting needs to be applied to you. Typically, we have you turn it off when you first do your submission, and then if you get rejections after that, then we'll turn it on. But again, it doesn't seem to be consistent on if you have to have this setting on or not. Autoflag Promo is something that I would say, yes, you need to have on. This makes it so that the promotion information, so if you have an item that has, say, 50 cents off as soon as you get the pack in, that would be considered a promotion item. And there'll be more on that information later, but I would say leave this on. Your coupon department, this is a new setting. If you have manufacturer coupons that are the uh, mobile coupons typically that you had to add in the UPC number into your price book in order for it to scan correctly at the POS, you would just put that in right here. So we could, let's just say that that is our coupon department for this file. Once you get that, you can come up here and you can select the stores that you want to be included in the file. So we've got our we've got our test ones here. We'll just say all of them. And whenever you get them selected, you have to click the green button to move them to this list and then apply. The next thing would be to generate the files. You would choose your date range here. So for RJ Reynolds and ITG, the date range has to be Monday through Sunday. So just keep that in mind when you're picking your dates. Now, it will automatically increment to the week that has just passed, because that's typically how you submit your sales data. So normally it's going to already have the date in there that you need to submit. But if, for instance, you got a rejection and they would like you to resubmit your file, you would just need to make sure that you're picking the Monday through Sunday date range for what they had requested to be resubmitted. So you can add filters in here. Typically, it would be a department filter, because you would need to tell the system which departments are eligible to be submitted to scan data. Some people have to submit everything in their price book. Others just submit their cigarette items. This would be where you would pick it. I chose departments, and then I'm just going to pick a few that I should send. You would need to check with your rep to find out what is required for your submission, and then you would just move those over and then apply it. So once that's done, you can download the file, which will take a couple of minutes, and it will put it in a text document down here where you can then you can submit it yourself through FileZilla or through your login that MSA provided you. Or you can just click the send file, which it will then use those FTP credentials that we put over here and automatically send it for you. I don't have real information in here, so I'm not going to click the send button because I know it's going to fail. Okay. So that's all for RJ Reynolds. Like I said, the ITG report is identical, so I'm not going to go over that, but just know that it's there in case you do need to do a separate submission for ITG. Okay. So the next thing is the Philip Morris report. This one is the most common. From what I understand, they are easier to get set up with. So this is the one that most of you are going to be using. All of these settings are the same as what it was on the RJ Reynolds report, so I'm not going to go over that again. Same thing with the account, management account number and the chain name. So actually, the management account number is only for Philip Morris. RJ Reynolds and ITG do not have one. Typically, it's like a 6 to 8 digit code that is also in conjunction with your chain name, or if you're submitting by individual stores, you would just put whatever your store name is that you've registered with them as. The next set of information is the loyalty UPC codes. So this is not something that RJ Reynolds deals with. It is something that Philip Morris does, and it changes pretty often. So you will need to check with your rep to find out what your loyalty UPC codes are supposed to be. The reason why I left on blank here is because I know that they have recently changed. I believe that they've actually made a change so that there's certain states that have to have a different code type. So just check with your rep and find out for sure what your current loyalty UPC codes are, because that's something that people would typically get rejections on after they've already submitted data for a few months. Then they'll come back with arguments on why they don't have to pay you for such data because the loyalty UPC codes were not correct. So just the next time you see your rep, check with them, find out what they're supposed to be. The next set of settings that are in here that are not in the RJR report would be the include loyalty. So include loyalty just is exactly that. You want to include your loyalty information in the scan data file. Now, when I say the loyalty information, you're not actually sending them your customers' actual information. The customers are assigned kind of like a GUID number, so random generated numbers and letters that identifies them as one specific person. And it will also send over that's what their loyalty code is. So they if you're saying include loyalty, you're not actually sending them your customer's real information, but there is a unique identified GUID that says this is this person. So the next one is generate Philip Morris data. That's pretty much always going to be on. Generate UST data, again, always on. This one is the option. So generate AOM data is generate all other manufacturers' data. You would need to check with your rep to find out if your account is supposed to do that. I've found that it seems to be about half of our customers have to do this. So it's not consistent. I have customers that are in the same state that are within a few miles of each other. One has to submit AOM, the other does not. So you would just need to check with your rep to find out what it is. If you do submit the AOM data, then whenever we come in to do the generate files, you would do the same thing that we just did with the RJ Reynolds report and choose the departments that you want to include. Typically, it's going to be your cigarette departments, your moist tobacco, things like that. But again, your rep would tell you exactly what they need to see. And then the last one is going to be hide verification, age verification information. So there was a change to the Philip Morris scan data report last, I believe, October that included age verification types. So again, it's not actually submitting your customer's birth date or any other information that's collected when you scan their driver's license, but it will submit the information telling Philip Morris that a driver's license was scanned whenever the age verification was done on the sale. So it will either it's a code that will tell them if it was scanned, if it was manually entered in, so whether you click the visually verify button or if you typed in the birth date, or it will tell them if no age verification was done at all. You would need to check with your rep again to see if you need to submit that information. If you hide the age verification info, then it will put those columns in the submission, but everything will be labeled as a 0, which would be no. Okay, so that's all the settings and the different reports that we have for the scan data reports. Again, if you have any issues, you can always call into support and we're willing to assist you. We've also got some new changes that are coming in, as I mentioned, for the loyalty UPC code. So be on the lookout for that. I'll probably do another webinar once that is available. All right. So let's go over some things that you need to do in your price book to make sure that your scan data information is getting submitted correctly, other than the actual report itself. The first thing is we're going to look at your location settings. So if you're used to the on-premise terms, then that would be the stores. So we're going to go to maintenance and locations. So we're going to come down and I'm going to add a new store. And I'm just going to call this one Brianna's Test. And I already have a price book zone for mine. It is a retail store. And I'm going to say it's store 985 in the Central Time Zone. And this is the information that you would have to fill in for the scan data information. So the Scan data report gets the location info from this section of the control center. So you would have to fill in your address. So we'll say 155 Main Street and Madison, Alabama 35756. And we'll make a phone number. And then you would save that. So once that is set up, the information will get populated into the scan data report correctly. So if you ever have any rejections about blank fields in reference to your address info, this is where you find it. So just locations, you pick the location, and then you click on the tab location and contact and fill that information in. The phone number is not submitted with the scan data report. It's just the address fields and then the name of the store and the store number. All right. So the next thing would be the unit of measure or product codes. So I've already got mass updates pulled up over here. The most common is going to be your packs and cartons, and then also rolls and cans. We do have a sheet that we've gotten from RJ Reynolds that tells us the approved product codes that you could put in. It's available from your rep. They can send that to you. They typically do in the beginning when you're trying to get set up, but we can also provide it to you as well. Just send an email to websupport@fasttrackspos.com and we'd be happy to send it over to you. So I'm just going to show you quickly how we can do your cartons, for example. So what we would do is I've got it filtered down to my full price cartons, and I'm going to look at all of them. And then select all, choose actions. And the action I'm going to choose is update field. And I want to change unit of measure. In the on-premise solution, it's called product code, but for the scan data reporting and the requirements, they've always called it unit of measure. So we called it unit of measure in the control center side. So an approved code would not be, most people would want to put CT in. That will get you rejected. You have to actually put carton. So I've got that. I'm going to apply the mass update. Yes, I would like to proceed. Okay, so now I'm going to close that window. And then the other way you could do it is you could do it by going to the product itself. So when you're setting up an item for the first time, you want to make sure that the product code is entered in. So it's going to be under additional information. And right here, unit of measure. And it already filled in the carton because I just updated it on the other screen. Now, if I were to delete this, you see that we've auto-filled in the other term, which would be product code. So that way you can see unit of measure or product code when you're looking at it from this view. So let me just put that back. And we're going to close it. And then save it. So the next one that we get a lot of rejections on and a little bit of confusion on would be dealing with items that have the built-in discounts. Like I mentioned before, I said we would come back to this topic. Let me show you what we've got for that. So got my specials here. Okay, so I'm going to look at these 50 cents ones. Let's do, well, looks like most of these. All right, you see I've got 18 items selected. I'm going to choose that action. All right, so it remembers what I last did, but I'm going to change this and I'm going to go to promo. So the first thing you have to do is you have to tell the system that yes, this item is on promotion. This is not going to change the price of the item. It will not apply any other additional discounts. It just puts the information where they want to see it in the scan data report. So I'm going to apply that mass update saying that yes, this is a promotional item. And then I'm going to come over here and choose those items again. And now I'm going to do the promo amount. So all of these had the promo amount built in at 50 cents. So I'm going to put that in as 50 cents and apply the mass update. So again, if you're setting up an item for the first time and you want to just go ahead and take care of that as you're setting it up, we can do that this way. So we got the item opened up. This one's a 25 cent. We're going to go back to additional information. And then there's a tab up here called RJR Promo Reporting. And this is where you would say, yes, it's on promotion. And here's the amount. And then you would just close and save, and it updates the information for you. All right. Now, one more thing I've got two more things I'm going to show you. We're going to look at buy downs really quick. So price book, discounts and buy downs. So discounts are, if you're used to the on-premise solution, that's system discounts. We just called it discounts here. And there's going to be a setting that you would need to turn on. So we'll just pick this one. So if you're going to be doing, for example, like a roll discount. So let's say that this was Copenhagen and you were going to be selling a roll of Copenhagen and you get, let's say $1 off. Even though you're only selling one of those, RJ Reynolds and Philip Morris want to see that as a quote multi-pack discount. Even though it's not technically multi-pack because you're selling the one, you have to tell it that it is a multi-pack. So the way that you would actually do that is you would say that you're selling a quantity of 2, and then we would change the point values of these items. So these are going to be rolls. You would change these to also say 2. And then we would turn off the or more. And we would do the limit per transaction as 1. So that will make it so that whenever you sell the one roll, which has a value of 2 points, which would get this trigger here, you would only get the $1 discount. I know it seems confusing, but this is how we're going to have to deal with this. If you have any questions whenever you're setting up roll and carton discounts, when they're supposed to be set up as a multi-pack, please feel free to call into support or send us an email at websupport@fasttrackspos.com, and we'd be happy to assist. So the other information that you would need to have on is this in the scan data report? Yes. So that would take this discount and populate it into the scan data report. If it is not selected, it will not show up, which means you could get rejections because you are giving discounts, but you're not reporting them. We already have another webinar on doing system discounts as a whole, so I'd recommend that you check that one out if you want to learn more about all these other settings in here. But specifically for scan data, you just need to have the scan data report or the required loyalty, depending on if it's a Marlboro loyalty is typically what we see. So now looking at buy downs. Let's just pick this one up here. So again, the only thing that you will need for buy downs as far as specifically scan data information is going to be this include in scan data report. and also this report name. So if you do not have the report name filled out, it will just take the name of the discount and populate that into the scan data report for you. But if you have a specific name or code that they would like to see in the report in reference to this discount, you would put that information on this report name and save it. And so it would report this information instead of this name up here in the scan data report. Okay. So that's pretty much all that I've got today for the retail scan data reports in regards to the Cloud POS system. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. If you have any further questions, like I've mentioned a couple of times throughout this, you can send us an email at websupport@fasttrackspos.com, or you can also call into the support line, which is 256-319-3470, option 1. If you call in and you would like to just immediately leave a voicemail instead of waiting through the queue, you can also press 0, and that will put you right into our mailbox. I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much.